My name is Rickey. What you're about to see here is years of hard work, labor of love, and tears of joy to bring to you what you're about to see. Farming chose me. Just before the recession, I used to do a lot of joinery and construction work in the building sites. And then I get a vision, a food crisis that's going to hit. Now, during that time, the UK was just about shaping up to open up Europe, to bring in Eastern Europeans, Western Europeans, for the building construction. And at that time, you could have gotten 3 or 4 contracts on the same site without any hesitation. When Europe opened, all of that changed. In that same time, I got my vision about food and how important it is. I used to follow a man by the name of Dr. Sebi, who used to tell us about alkaline food, what it does to the body. You should make your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. And that set me on a journey to start finding out about where my food comes from, how my food is produced, who grows my food, what goes into my food, what does the food does to my body that I eat. And then by doing that, I start checking out things like making a difference. And then from that, I just start checking my energy levels. Then I start checking my kids' them energy levels. And then the rest is a no-brainer. It got me on a spiral journey where I had no attitude of no looking back and forward only in terms of finding out more and more about how food is produced, how food should be produced, and what good food does for the body versus what bad food does to the body. The general public has been fed a life for decades, for millennia, and even though we are what we eat, we're living in a society and a time now, we are what was marketed to us. We are here to try and change that by saying that there's an alternative. And we don't only want to do that by putting into fancy branding and fancy words that people can understand. We want to show by producing the food that when you taste it, you come back for more, and you go and tell your friend, and you go and tell your family, and you feel it in your body and your bones. And when you go to the doctor, you can tell the difference. If we get ourselves caught up in a downward spiral, and I say a downward spiral because it's only go one way down, and you're going to end up dead, even though all of us have to die. If we continue this downward spiral into food without knowing what food does for the body, we're not going to be here for much longer. Our kids are not going to have a future. 3, it's going to mess up the ecosystem. It's not viable. We've been led to believe that monoculture cropping and other type of growing can save the planet. Now we are seeing its effect. We don't have to be led anymore. We can see it with our own 2 eyes. We can feel it on our skin. We can see it when we go in the supermarket. Many times I go in the supermarket for lunch and I spend an hour just to come out with a bread that I don't want because there's nothing I can find to sustain myself. Only something that can fill a gap for I can carry on doing. We need to change that. We need to change that culture. And doing what we're doing here and practicing the different techniques that we're doing here is one way of doing it. Now, as a youth growing up in Jamaica, grew up around a lot of Rastafarian. And from as far as I can remember as a child, Rastafarian has always been talking about natural growing of food, going back to nature, learning from nature, and sticking with the ecosystem. I come from organic food is an organic way of living, is a way of life. It's nothing that is marketed, branded.
Vegan food, we know it as
was ital food. And ital
new branding is trying to take it out.
But you see, the root is the root. And without the root, you can't have no tree, you can't have no branches. So all of these little branches and all of these little leaves that are flying all over the place, it's all derived from the teachings of Rastafari.
Yes.
And I'm living examples of that. If it wasn't for the teachings of Rastafari, I wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for the teaching of my grandfather that is instilling in my mind how food is from a very tender age, I wouldn't be here today. Spin that round and fast forward it. Can you imagine what has been instilled in these 6-year-old and 7-year-olds' mind today? So in the next 10, 15 years, they know nothing about their food if we carry on this downward spiral. And if we can't sustain our family, if we can't sustain the way we eat, if we can't sustain the way we store our water, the way we deal with each other in the community, then we're on a downward spiral to nothingness. Can only lead to one thing: negative behavior, negative attitude, and a generation of vipers. And you're seeing it happening in and around every community, all around the world. It doesn't matter if it's a rich community, a poor community, or a middle class community. Thing is happening all around the world. And it leads right back to the food. No army can win a war unless they can feed their soldiers. If you can't feed your soldiers, you can't win a war. And in any great army and in any great kingdom, it all come falling down once they cut off your food supply. And if you're in a war and the person who you're warring with is controlling your food, then you have lost the battle before you've begun. We are here to change that. First and foremost, we would like to say, give thanks for life. Give thanks for the journey, and give thanks for the team that we have put together to make all of this possible. On behalf of Rickey, Zebi, Glenn, and the rest of the team, we'd like to say, welcome to Rickey's Alkaline Market Garden and Fruit Forest. Rickey's Alkaline Market Garden and Fruit Forest is a culmination of years of blood, sweat, and tears, trying to infuse different farming disciplines to create an environment where we can grow better food, connect the neighboring communities together, and make it more viable for the planet and for human consumption in general. Well, we have been here at Wood Oaks Farm for 8 years, but it's been a labor of love for the past 20 years. What separates this type of farming from any other farm is you will find market gardens jumping up and around in the UK and around Europe. But you'll find very few that has a market garden and a fruit forest. What separates us from the rest is we're trying to show that by growing fruits alongside fruit trees and vegetables alongside annual plants, it's better for the ecosystem, it's better for the water, and it's better for our general environment. By doing so, it's better for our kids of tomorrow, and it's better for our whole well-being. Well, 20 years ago we started growing lettuce on pallets, on fencing, because we developed the passion for farming, and we find that with farming, it's a very integral and important part of any society, because if you can't feed yourself, then you can't sustain yourself. And we'll find that we started off growing conventionally, and we find that through the years we have learned different techniques, practiced different disciplines, and has come up with what we have found is the best right now. By infusing different disciplines, we find that it creates a diversity, just like in nature, just like in the forest, just like in the jungle, just like in the savannas all around the world. It is better for the ecosystem. So we choose that discipline to move it forward, to show that it works in more ways than one. Challenges we face in the beginning, of course, you know, in anything that is new, you're gonna have the doubters. We also know that in nature, it waits on no one, and the time when things are supposed to be done sometimes can be a bit tedious because it's not done in the manner in which it's supposed to be done and the speed at which it's supposed to be done, so it causes chain reaction. The challenges we face now is making sure that we deliver what we say we can and how we say we can do it. And most importantly, the end product that ends up on people's plate that makes them more nutritional, make them more energetic, so they are the end product we can come and say, this is what this food has done for me in this time. Of course, you know, in anything, you need finance. And with finance at times, even though not all the time, it have a tendency of making things progress a lot faster. But what we have also come to learn that is, in growing and with growing to make everything eco-friendly is not just about speed. It's about observation, it's about learning. So even though finance can be a very integral part, and it is a very integral part and an important part of the whole setup, we find that more finance we get, the more faster we can grow, but also the less finance we have, we get time to also do things properly. Because we come from a background where we're not financially viable in any local project where we want, so we find say we have to improvise. And as Bob Marley say, from there's a will, there is a way. And the natural mystic always a flow through the ear. If you listen carefully, you will hear. So we always reason amongst one another, and we find say by not having enough resources sometimes, it leads us to a place where we have to think wiser, deeper, and more beneficial. And because of that, we've come up with magical stuff. You know, stuff that when we say it, when we accomplish it, we can't even believe ourselves. We have to give ourselves a little pat on the back and say, well done, because it's been a rocky road, but a joyful one. And we only learn that through not having enough money. Don't get me wrong, money can make the thing move faster and more efficient at times, but we find that just like in nature, because we get so self-orientated and think that everything is based around self, sometimes we think that with the better machine we can make the thing better. Just like how we think that with the better machine we could have grown better food and faster food, and now it has mashed up the planet. So we have to rethink the thing and find say everything in its right order and everything within moderation.
What would make a substantial difference to your operations?
More hands and feet getting things done. More people from the neighborhood getting involved. The soil association using their muscles more where they can. The land trust using their muscles more where they can, because I genuinely feel that they got a whole heap to offer and a whole heap that they can offer. And the surrounding neighborhood, as I mentioned before, the conventional farmers, they can add a lot to the table as well with the equipment that they have. But if we come as a collective and put it all together, we can make it work. And we're proving that. Just myself and Zeb, who has done many labors of love manually. So if we can do it manually in 8 months or in a short time, then there's no reason why we can't do speed up the process with more people getting involved. So that's one of the things that we say we can move better and faster and more efficient if we get the neighborhood and the surrounding community more involved in what we're doing. We start off with 3 people. Myself, Ricky, myself and Zebby, Glenn, and it keeps on growing. Now we have Owen, we have Magic, we have Nisha, we have Lanka, my son and my daughter, and it keeps growing. Not to mention the voluntary service and the voluntary team that has come in from Wood Oaks, from my site, and from the surrounding community. They have been a tower of strength. We couldn't have done it without them. I don't think I mentioned this enough, and maybe because I don't, some people might have the which I'm not saying that they do, but people like Steve Wigby, but I'd like to say a special thank you to you, because maybe I'm not saying it enough. Harry Moss, same. The voluntary crew from Wood Oaks Farm, Magical. My brethren Zebby, whom I couldn't do it without, is Mrs., my Mrs., and all the people from the surrounding area. Sally, the owner of the property. So on behalf of all of that, we'd like to say, join up. Feel free to join up, come in and have fun, and let's show say farming doesn't have to be only labor intensive. Farming can be farming and labor of love. Farming can be joyful, and farming can help to teach the next generation to know where their food is coming from and to find out to sustain themselves in a more eco-friendly way that is better for the whole environment. Here also at Rickey Market Garden and Food Forest, we are trying to show that even though we're growing local produce for the local community, we are also bringing in exotic food for the local community. Because in any local community, there is diversity, just like in the forest. So you would have black, white, Chinese, Muslim, Jews, Christians. All these people come from different ethnic backgrounds with different cultures, eat different food. We are trying to supplement everybody, but without leaving out anybody. So by bringing in exotic foods, we are showing that we can take off the air mileage off of, we can cut down our carbon footprint, we can show easily trace for food if it should go bad or something should go wrong in a pandemic or epidemic. And we also show that by moving from farm to farm to the plate on your dining table or in your kitchen, we are showing also that we can make more incentive to the farmer rather than it goes from the farm to the packaging house to the washing station to the branding house before it actually gets on your shelf, before it actually gets on your dining table. The full benefits of that is more mineralizations to your body. You get more active, so you're out and about, fresh air in your lungs. You're bringing the families together, you're bringing the community together, because far too long we're growing in a community where we don't even know our next door neighbor. We don't even know the person across the road. We pass each other our children go to the same school and we don't even know that. By starting to come for local produce in the farm place and people shopping and smiling and tasting different types of food and see what it does for the body, by shopping together you bring the community together, and you know that unity is strength. If you have a twig, you can use a finger or two and break it, but if you have 5 or 10 twigs, you can't do it in the same motions. A lot more energy needed to break it. So unity is strength, and by bringing the community together we can show that people power is the real power, because we have the authority to change hearts and mind, and to change the quality of the food we eat, and to change the manner in which we respect and go about trusting and loving each other. And I'm doing all of that through farming, because in any war and in any battle you can't win the war unless you can feed your army, and if you can't feed your children, then the next generation is doomed.
How does someone cultivate callaloo in England? Speak to me about callaloos in England. Very fascinating.
Growing callaloo in England was a journey. We started off with Scotch bonnet pepper, and we realized very soon that it couldn't grow much outside, and we started growing in the greenhouses. Then we started testing other crops from the tropics, and we came across callaloo. Now for callaloo to be growing here, first thing we had to do was get the seeds from our native country, and the next thing we had to do was climatize it. Once we climatized the seeds, we started growing. We find that we even started competing callaloo looks with even our tropical country that we came from, Jamaica. And as we know, we have a saying, when you check it out, Lord, no one no better than yard.
Yeah.
Sometimes them get the wire cross up with spinach.
Yeah.
But callaloo, amaranth, is in a different league by itself.
Yeah.
Amaranth is also stated in a them dictionary, British dictionary, and them findings say it's the most nutritious vegetable on the planet. And it's also one of 2 vegetables that is a vegetable and also a grain.
Okay.
Because the seed that
Because
is used
the
from
seeds,
it,
yeah.
it's used in the cosmetic industry for lipstick,
Yeah.
and them thing there, and it's also used in the cereal.
Yeah.
It's also the flour from it is so expensive, them used as an additive for other flour,
Yeah.
and all kind of things there. So, and then we in the Caribbean now, we use it for just the vegetable.
This is a staple.
It's
Yeah.
a staple.
Yeah.
And then you have other parts of the world where they use the roots,
Yeah.
you know. So it's a powerful plant.
Yeah.
Now, the Aztecs, them used to worship it because they used to do almost everything with it. But I think is, I can't remember if it's Marco Polo or one of them who take over the Aztec community and outlawed it, because them said they used to do almost everything with it. They make paint, all kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful plant. And Dr. Sabi now, the famous Dr. Sabi now, come make I know say, because the first time I know how powerful callaloo is, even though I grew up in Jamaica, is when I watched the great Dr. Sabi, and I say, is there any Jamaican in the house? And I hear 1 and 2 man say, yeah, we don't have son. And I say, yeah, you see that thing they want to have in the country they call him callaloo? Is the richest thing in iron on the planet.
And that is why I made the contrast with spinach, to get that clear.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
get that clear.
Yeah.
So in a different league by itself.
Yeah.
And when I tell the people around here that was one of the big sellers last Sunday.
Yeah.
Because they read up on the internet and find out, and they say, you know, we never know about this.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we never know about the richest spinach, the richest, by them things it was spinach.
That is why I made the comparison with spinach, just to create that distinction. Callaloo is in a class by itself. Yeah. I know people relate them, and yes, they are related.
Yes.
But protein, but value for value,
Can't compare.
there is no comparison.
For we to bring the things that we love the most, which is callaloo, from Jamaica, to bring it here and growing it, and can compete with any callaloo farmer in Jamaica, it's a blessing within itself. But it all goes back to the techniques and the way of how we do things here, and the way how we practice and bring in and infuse different disciplines to create our formula that we know have, and now can say thanks for coming and all the best. Thank you. And the way we grow, to show that with the right approach, with the right ingredients, with the right mindset, you can achieve anything you want in terms of growing, in terms of how you approach the neighborhood, in terms of how you change mindsets, and in terms of how we grow as a community collectively. Spinach, welcome. How are you?
You're doing the shoot.
Yes, it's live and direct, so we don't mind. How are you?
Oh, what marrows have you got? One left.
Come across and look. We have some in the yard as well.
Oh, have you?
Owen, can you do me a favor? Can you carry her over into the yard and let you see some marrows and pick what you want? There's none in there? Carry her in the field.
There are more.
They're in the bottom in the tray.
Maybe 6 or so.
How much is Seymour? Sorry, Ricky.
Go around that side. There's so much gel you can get, and you can make it yourself, as you know. Callaloo, affectionately known, botanically known as amaranth, which used to be grown by the Aztec. Feel free to go by, no problem. It's rich in iron. It's one of the only vegetables that's a vegetable, and it's also a grain. The grain is used to make flour. The flour is so rich and so expensive, it cannot be sold on the local, on the normal market as a flour. It is used as an additive flour for other flour. The grain is used to make oil from, for the cosmetic industries, for Q-Tex, lipsticks, and loads of other stuff that we are now learning. Germany, as a country that produces so much, imports millions and millions of pounds of callaloo seed for the cosmetic industry, for the flower industry, and for various other additives for feeding livestock, and for other things like shampoos and all kind of skin products. Callaloo, amaranth, is a very powerful plant, and I'm surprised to know that so many learned people on this side of the planet don't know about it. But that's why we are here. And thank you, Black Magic, for making this possible and for bringing your skill set to the trade so we can get the message across. Black Magic Music is always a blessing, and thank you for being here.
To them, August down, Toronto, all them wills then. Enough money start running at the place. No more guns now coming at the place. In my going out and coming in always. Most I praise. The youths them free have no fun. Pray for the bad boys, go lock them gun. Policeman stop, shoot them down. You only prove yourself to be a clown. Imagine life without love, and life without peace. No love in our heart, then life will solely cease. Show more understanding, let the ignorance decrease. There's no shame in excuse me, and thank you please, me pray for. Enough money start running at the place. No more guns now coming at the place. In my going out and coming in always. King Selassie I me a praise. The youths them free have no fun. Pray for bad boys them go lock them gun. Hey policeman stop shoot them down. You only prove yourself to be a clown. Show respect to the ladies, they carry the babies. Don't talk as if you're a mad dog. Which rabies, stop acting crazy.